Tennessee, Brendan Martin in always tropical climate, Ocala, Florida, Marion County.
If you hear any roofers banging around today, don't worry. It's just because the rest of my roof is going on today.
And you got to love getting the new roof finally after 15, 16 months from the hurricanes. We're glad they're getting it on. Hey, got a great show today, man. We've got John Hartwell, College Sports Solutions, Matt Dean, Rhodes College, everything. Also, Gary Harris, Tuscaloosa, WVUA Channel 23 Tiger Insider, going to preview the Bama and Georgia SEC title game. And Charlie Coolidge, one of our interns, will be a freshman at Mississippi State University next year. He's got some numbers on what happens when you hit the portal for your graduation rate. Now, take a picture with your cellular phone of the QR codes. Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, we are live. As Brendan's right, like us and share us. Thank you more than you know if you do it.
I'm always right.
And please do it if you don't, because it allows us to give you all this content at no cost to you. And we're blessed to have great sponsors like Landers Ford, Hewlett & Dunn, Rumble Boxing, and hempforpros.com. It is a Thursday, December 4th, 2025. Let's get cranked up. And gentlemen, we'll be quick. Our intern, unlike student athletes in college today, actually has to go to class. He doesn't have to just log in. Charlie Coolidge, let me ask you something. This is a cool project. What are the graduation rates for guys and gals, that student athletes that transfer, hit the portal at least one time, and kind of take it from there? And I'm excited to hear these numbers. I don't know them.
Yeah. So I found that GSR stands for graduation success rate. And for all student athletes who don't transfer originally, their GSR is 85%. 21, when the transfer portal started, 60% of high-profile recruits transferred at least once, and 20% transferred multiple times. So because of the recency in the portal, the numbers are limited for graduation rates, and they're still merging after 6 years post-entry. But for single transfer players, it's around 30% their GSR is. And for multi-transfer players, it ranges from 20% to 10% because the numbers are unclear as of right now. But yeah.
Not good. I suggest, Charlie, that you stay at Mississippi State University for all 4 or 5 years in case you get a redshirt year. Matt, John, you're both athletic directors. What about those rates, and are they shocking to either one of y'all?
Yeah, I think that, obviously the more times you bounce around, and I'm just going to be candid, the less important academics becomes for the most part. Now, you have some exceptions to that rule. The one thing about GSR, though, is it's calculated over a 6-year rate. So from entry of college. So if Charlie's looking at 2021 numbers, really to have a full picture of that percentage, you'd have to wait till the end of the academic year in 27 to get a true picture. But clearly, this number gets lower and lower. And the thing is, a lot of times too, that people don't realize, when you transfer from institution A to institution B to institution C, however many it is, and this is regardless whether you're a student athlete or a general population student, a lot of times credits that you earn at an initial institution or even a junior college, for some of these kids who take the JUCO route to start with, i.e. Diego Pavia, you don't have all those transfers, or all those credits that transfer. Some don't transfer, so that plays into it too. But the bottom line is, and Charlie is spot on this, academics becomes less of a priority the more that you transfer. I think there's a direct correlation between those numbers.
Yeah. Charlie, I think too, the portal became the law of the land October 15th of 2018. So I think that would be a cool thing to go back from that beginning year if we could find those numbers. But Matt, what do you draw from these research? I like these numbers. We're starting to see the trend. It's pretty obvious.
Yes, Charlie's spot on, and so is John. Honestly, in a couple years, I would not be surprised, Charlie, if those numbers even decrease further. And the thing about it for us at an institution like Rhodes, we pride ourselves in retention rates of our student athletes and graduation rates. We're in the 90 percentile and above in both those categories, but it doesn't surprise me because the reality of the situation is you don't come to Rhodes College to be a basketball player. You come there to get a great degree and a great opportunity post graduation. But I will tell you this. For me, some of the greatest teams I coached were because of 1-year transfers. In the city of Memphis, you have great basketball, as you probably know, Charlie. And a lot of times these student athletes will leave the city of Memphis, and when it doesn't work out, either academically, let's say, socially, they got homesick, whatever the cause, they want to come back home. And I had a 3-year stretch where I had 3 straight Division I transfers that were high-level students, and it really elevated our program. And transfers have a role. It's just everything that's going on now just doesn't make sense to a lot of us that have been in this business a long time.
Yeah. Charlie, before you get off to class, you're actually going to class, physically will be there. Let me ask you something. Your generation, my kids are all 25 and above, but do you still love college football, love college basketball? Are you going to go to all the games, stay the full 60? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to try and go to as many state college basketball games as I can. They're not very good right now. And of course, state football games as well, also lacking.
Hey, Charlie, I got to ask this question. Where's your cowbell?
It is in my car right now. Yes, sir.
Hey, Charlie.
I'll stay though.
I know you got to get going, but we're gonna I've got some more research. I love to look at these numbers, but it is really it's bigger than I thought, and it's more alarming than I thought. So you can make a living with your hands. Remember what Judge Smells said in Caddyshack? Well, the world needs ditch diggers too. You better get your education because you can make millions with your mind. So and I know you will because I know your dad and your grandfather. So you got it going for you. But look. Thank you so much, Charlie, senior at ECS High School. Sir. Good luck on your basketball season, and we'll see you on here again soon, especially over Christmas break, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Hey, you know what, guys?
Well, I want to say one thing. First of all, I got a daughter, and I've seen a trend because everyone's going to push the narrative, right? So it's like it's always going to be a little bit of this is what's cool now, and then kids are going to come on. Like I'm Gen X, so we came along and said, well, we hate everyone. So, and then we and we are like, well, screw you. You're not even home, mom and dad, like latchkey kids, the whole deal, right? Come home when the street lights come on, the whole thing. But then, these kids, like my daughters, they're talking about the disconnect. They're like, it's becoming, in vogue to disconnect, right? Yeah. To go back, my daughter said to me the other day, Stella said, "Oh, I wish I was raised in your time." She said it seemed more fun. I said, "Well, maybe," but I said at the end of the day, they're feeling that digital burnout, and I think we're seeing emergence of apps and things. And my whole point is that I think I have hope for college because it's not just academia; it is the experience, right?
Yes,
it is about becoming an adult in a lot of ways, right? With a little bit of a safety net and some guidance. We are seeing all the the trending thing now is like, hey, be an electrician, be a plumber. AI is coming, right? Do something different. The people that work with their hands and all this stuff matters. Trade schools, these kinds of things matter, but academia, I think, is always going to have a place. And I wanted to ask you two, Matt and John, colleges and academia has always been very creative in staying alive and staying relevant. I have hope for colleges. Do you think that shifting what we study is going to change, or do you see that being a trend and keeping kids into school and classes? Because that matters for everything down the road, right? It all starts with enrollment. We'll go with you, Matt.
I'm going to go first, John, because I'm probably in the most academic environment right now. We have hit the last few years at Rhodes College an enrollment cliff, Brendan, and basically we've seen, just like you described, two trends. We've seen a lot of students decide we don't want to spend the money on a liberal arts college. We're going to go to a state 4-year institution, and we're going to go a different route. Also, to your point about using your hands in the trade situation, there's a lot of money to be made in that right now, and the amount of debt that you incur to come to a place like Rhodes College is very significant. One of the reasons I've stayed on here for 35 years, I have the benefit of tuition remission. My oldest son, Tyler, who works for Oregon, was the recipient of a free Rhodes education, which is valued at a pretty penny, to be honest with you guys.
About 300,000.
Yeah. My youngest son, Rhino, is a product of the University of Memphis, but was fantastic in their business department and is in the finance world right now. So I think kids right now, I was walking on the bus after our game on Sunday, coming back from Clarksville, Arkansas, and it's just amazing. All the kids got laptops, Brendan. They're all working on these 10 to 15 page papers, and we're still a week out from finals. I'm like, well, is this your final project? Like, no, this is due before finals. And I love the fact that in our academia world, a liberal arts college, we are still challenging students every day. And when you ask my son why he's been successful in his career path, he attributes it to Rhodes College. His first semester, he was at UT Knoxville. His fraternity went on social probation. And after those 5 or 6 home football games were done, Tyler felt like, gosh, I have nothing. I have no identity. Coming to Rhodes, he was a student assistant for me. He was involved in other activities, and it really propelled him. I said, well, what was the key? He goes, Dad, do you realize how much we read at Rhodes? I mean, actually, the reading we did. I go, no, son, I didn't go to Rhodes. I didn't realize that. I recruit to Rhodes. Yeah. But I think just the narrative right now, you hit it spot on, Brendan. I think this generation is really confused. I talk to my players all the time, and even like I had a young lady that was doing a paper on the benefits of socialism. I'm like, well, let's not go too crazy here. But they are really having thoughts that I don't think existed in my mindset. So they're getting challenged because of everything that's out there digitally, and it's really a confusing time, I think, for our younger people right now.
John?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a little. I totally agree with what Matt's saying. I'm gonna look at a different angle of this, man. And I hate to say this because obviously this is a lot of our listener and viewership, but this thing right here, and what it has done to our young people, and the lack of communication skills, and the lack of being involved in group settings, and instead taking individualism to new heights, man, I don't think that's a good thing for our society as a whole. And I know this is a sports show, not a political show, but the value that we all had, whether it was teammates or fraternity brothers or people you lived in the dorm with, things like that. To me, I would argue that's a significant part of your education. It may not be as much as the books component of it, but it's a significant part of your education and the base that you build to have a successful career, no matter what you go into.
Yeah.
And even some kids on campus today and student athletes are involved in this too. If you sit in your dorm room all day, if you're, quote, on campus, but you're taking all online classes and your interaction may be your dog or your girlfriend, and it's not much beyond that, sometimes it's hard to be a good teammate in that too, taking it back to sports, to be able to communicate, to be able to work as a group for the good of the whole. And it's, and I think the availability of online, a lot of these trade things, they're good. College is not for everyone, and I'm not saying that. But man, I as we further get away, and call me old school, call me what you want to, but I think that is working to the detriment of our universities. I think it's working to the detriment of our communities, and I think it's working to the detriment of our society as a whole.
Yeah, and you know what? When universities enrollment back in 2008 and 2009, during the financial meltdown, the bond market and the stock market, the birth rate dropped significantly. So college enrollment in 26 and 27 and 28, it's going to be very dicey. Things were, I lived through it. We all of us did. I mean, I was in the business. I saw my deferred comp plan just evaporate. All that just evaporate, gone. But you know what? I'm a tough son of a bitch, and I just worked through it. And I, you know what? Just, hey, the word impossible, treat the word impossible as motivation. That's how I do it. But you know what? I see also like with Charlie and Oakley, our interns, Oakley McFerrin and Charlie Coolidge. I know these kids, and I'm around them a lot. I was Charlie. Man, he walked up there at the touchdown club directly to that Mississippi State coach. Ended up with his cell phone number, and now they're communicating to where he's going to be working. I'm like, if you don't know how to ask for the order. Like a lot of young kids today, everything's IB, instant Bloomberg, just pick up the phone and talk to me. And I'm telling you, sports, that John, you hit it about being a great teammate. I think a lot of these kids today, they fumble a ball on a drive in the fourth quarter that could tie the game or take them to a win if they go for two. Are they really distraught about it? Or do they just go look at their mobile banking app and see 1.5 million cash sitting there? Let's be honest about it, because in the pros, you don't see guys distraught or in tears after a loss. They've got, they're making so much money. And another thing too is Dana Marquez, our friend who's working up at Middle Tennessee State University now, has got some incredible data that's coming out about NIL. The number of these kids' parents who are calling coaches at different schools and saying, hey, I can't make my car payment. They go, well, that's not your son or your daughter's job. So watch out on that one. All right, let's switch gears. Heisman Trophy race, guys. I am fascinated by what I'm seeing right now. This debate. Fernando Mendoza from Miami went to Cal Berkeley. Then he's at Indiana. Diego Pavia, Volcano High School, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Albuquerque is what I call it. Two-time state wrestling champion, junior college, New Mexico State, Jerry Kilkowski. That's his coach's name, Jerry Kilkowski. Brings him to Nashville. There has not been a more dominant performance, one player meaning more to his team, since Cam Newton at Auburn 2010 or Tim Tebow at Florida in 2008 in this century. It just hasn't happened. And what Diego's done, the first time in school history to win 10 games at Vanderbilt. I mean, guys, I'm not saying Fernando's not good, but Diego Pavia, that's what the Heisman's made for. Anyone want to argue that or advocate for it or against it?
In my mind, and stranger things have happened. I think I think those two guys, whether you're quarterbacking Indiana or you're quarterbacking Vanderbilt, you don't have the bevy of, they've got some, granted, they've done a great job recruiting, but you don't have the bevy of support around you like Ohio State does, like the QB at Ohio State. So in my mind, it really comes down to those two guys. And again, you've got two non-traditional football schools who have had a rise to the top as it relates to college football. And I don't think you can go wrong with either one. Pavia, I saw something this morning about Pavia sent maybe a tweet or something to President Trump, lobbying for Trump to change the CFP from 12 to 16 teams. I don't think that's at the top of he's attuned to it, I promise you, but I don't think that's as pressing as maybe what the Federal Reserve is going to do next week to rates or things like that. I think either one of those guys has. I think it's a coin toss between those two right now.
Matt Dean, can you imagine a cabinet meeting? Hold on, Ukraine, Federal Reserve. No. Diego, he's texting me. I do. I love it, and I'm telling you why. Because he's 5'9", and he is the toughest guy on the football field every time he gets out there. I mean, he thinks he is. And Matt, John, we all have played. Brendan, you better think you are. And I think he's the greatest story in college football this year.
I think his first of all, I agree with John wholeheartedly. Those are the two guys that are going to be debated and probably on most of the ballots, 1, 2 in different order. You just look at the attention he's gathered the last couple of weeks. You talk about Vandy's magical season. You talk about everything that's going on in his 2-year stint there. I think this late media blitz about, hey, get Diego to New York, I think it's going to work. I think not only does he deserve to win, I think he's going to win. And, I watch probably way too much Big Ten football to be a weekly guest on this show.
No, that's why we love you. We don't want to live in an echo chamber.
I will tell you this. Go watch some Iowa-Indiana tape and see what Iowa did to our guy Fernando, okay? They struggled to get out of Kinnick with the win.
Yes.
Diego had, 4 games of over 400 yards total offense? Am I wrong? I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he is special. And just think if it's 2 years from now when this thing's at 16, Vandy would be a tough out right now. You think anyone wants to play Vandy at a neutral site?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
No way. I mean, and I remember when our offensive line guru came on Stinchcomb and talked about, you asked him point blank, Rob, who do you like offensive line units in the country, or SEC specifically? He didn't like anyone, but he loved Vandy in terms of the teamwork and the effort, and they're all working together.
Yeah.
And their offense, man, guys, they would present anyone problems from a scouting standpoint. There's no doubt, and on the field standpoint.
Well, and he said that age and experience. I mean, Vanderbilt's got the oldest offensive line, one of the oldest teams in the country. And what's really happening, too, with Diego's Kid Rock and a lot of the entertainers up in Nashville are, advocating on his behalf. I think it's just a cool story, what Diego has done, but it's what he's meant. And he doesn't seem like a kid that's, you're not hearing about him doing anything crazy, nor are you hearing about Fernando, Mendoza, as Chuck Oliver calls him, Fernando Heisman Mendoza. So Chuck, Chuck, you're from the South, and he's from the South too, but I don't know. I think the Diego story is really cool. College football needs Diego Pavia to win the Heisman Trophy to restore faith that, hey, man, it's not just about being the best quarterback on the best team. Julian Sayin is just the default. Like, oh, okay, he's on. I mean, if Vanderbilt had Ohio State's resume and was 10 it's a joke. I mean, and nothing against the Big Ten, Matt.
No.
We don't want to live in an echo chamber.
Well, it's a little bit like Texas A&M's schedule, isn't it, Rob? The way Ohio State's Big Ten schedule is.
Yeah.
They didn't have to play regular season Indiana or Oregon, the other two playoff teams from the league, right?
Yep.
I mean, look at Texas A&M's schedule if you really want to break it down. And we've said some wonderful things. They've had a terrific year. They're a playoff team. But you take away that Notre Dame win, it's not a lot there.
Well, of their 7 SEC wins, I think they're against the bottom 8 teams in the SEC. And I'm not saying they're not good.
No doubt.
Dave Bartu says Ohio State's strength of schedule is not the strongest, but who would want to play them? I mean, I just think John Hartwell, when it comes to making schedules, you got to make those years in advance. They are what they are.
Yeah.
But I think that Vanderbilt playing their schedule, they lost by 3. They were down big at Texas, damn near came back and won it. And then the other one was a 5 or 6 point road loss at Alabama. That was their worst loss of the year. Vanderbilt.
I think there was 2 scores, Rob, that Alabama
I think it was 11 points. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it was 11. But John Hartwell, how about Vanderbilt flipping Jared Curtis, the 5.5-star quarterback from Nashville Christian Academy out on the Harpeth River from Georgia? Now, when was the last time that happened? The last time we had a February 30th holiday?
Yeah, I mean, and I think there's a lot of factors that go in there. Obviously, Diego's play and the entire team's play is a portion of it. Clark Lee signing a new long-term contract, so stability there. And I do think, not every signee is going to be cerebral or whoever their advisors, whether it's the parent, high school coach, grandma, whoever it may be. You've got to look at that, especially these high-level 5-star guys. I mean, they can look at, hey, who's going to pay me the most money? Yeah. But at the end of the day, if they're not just thinking in the moment, if they're thinking long-term and, hey, what's this going to do for an NFL career, all of these things, stability and continuity in who's going to coach you does mean something. No different when we were talking, when Matt alluded to Matt Stinchcomb coming on and talking about offensive line play. And Rob, I had an offline conversation with Yan Coward, another regular guest of yours, who was
offensive lineman
at Auburn, talking about, hey, offensive line play is not just about one guy being talented. What is the old saying? The chains is as strong as the weakest link. I mean, you got to have 5 guys working in synergy, and that's a lot what Vanderbilt's done. If anybody watched, I think last Friday night, Navy and Memphis, oh my gosh,
wow,
it's hard not to cheer for that Navy team because they had it clicking, and they're going to be a tough out for anybody. I mean, obviously they've got Army left; they're not playing in the American Championship game tomorrow night. But, man, the synergy there and knowing those guys aren't impacted by NIL or the transfer portal, and Horvath, the quarterback's going to go be a fighter pilot in the Navy. It's tough with all the stuff going on. It's tough not to cheer for those guys.
Yeah, taking aeronautical engineering and thermodynamics, that's a lot different than underwater basket weaving, which everybody used to say was a major. I don't think it really is. But Franz Beard talks about a sperm whale harpoon team. Sometimes some colleges, I don't know what sports they have, but
I was just looking at the schedule for A&M this year. You guys were talking about it. If you take a look, we start 25. But you're right with the you take out Notre Dame, right?
Yeah.
I mean, where you at?
And you got to play who's on your schedule and conference wise. I get that. There's no doubt.
Bad LSU, bad Arkansas, bad Florida,
bad Auburn.
Mississippi State was decent, but they were never going to compete. Bad Missouri, meh. I mean, South Carolina
30 to 3.5
gave them the best game, and they were just a big disappointment this year. And then Sanford, whatever, and then Texas. Obviously they get some competition, and they can't hold up there.
Yeah,
Brandon. One other thing to throw in here as you're speaking about A&M, and you guys probably saw yesterday, Chris Kleiman at Kansas State steps down. The A&M offensive coordinator Colin Klein, who was a QB at K-State. I think it's already a done deal. I think they're just waiting to announce it. But the impact, and head coaches, yes, they're the boss, but coordinators play a really big role too.
Oh, yeah.
So whether it's Ole Miss, A&M, I do think there's going to be an impact of some of these coaching changes that have a material effect on the outcome of some of these CFP playoff games.
Yeah. I just pulled up Vandy's schedule just to kind of, Virginia Tech. That's when we started to realize they were, something again. Yeah. And then we thought they were good after South Carolina, but we realized we were wrong. And then Georgia State. Now you're 4-0. They're riding high, right? Utah State. Now their first Bama losses. That's their first game.
Yeah. Right.
They sneak by LSU barely. Not really, but that game wasn't that close. And then Missouri wasn't that great.
And didn't the quarterback get hurt in that game?
Yeah.
Right.
He did. Yep.
Yetter.
And then you got Texas. The funny thing, Texas just keeps popping up in my mind as somebody that is peaking at a decent time. If we're going to talk about Texas, we should be talking about University of Texas.
Yeah, I agree.
They're playing really good football. And who's Vanderbilt's standout victory, guys? Who would y'all say?
Well, we're looking at it right here.
They dominated Tennessee at Knoxville. Was pretty impressive, right?
Yeah, in Knoxville.
They're going to be talking about that one forever. Diego Pavia had over 500 yards of offense in that game. And big time. That was his.
Bama just manhandled them, though. That was the thing.
That's when Diego kind of fired up the crowd. I guess he went back to his wrestling roots. But there's not LSU was not as good as advertised. I picked LSU preseason. I thought they'd be 8-4, 7-5 because Brian Kelly was the coach. I just never bought into the Kelly Kool-Aid. I just didn't.
Yeah, I guess Pavia and I started checking out on Pavia when I saw Manziel and him getting more involved. I didn't know much about it, and I just think if that's your guy, I think you got to question that. Yeah, that's not a sustainable solution.
Yeah, Diego's just as a teammate. He is trying to come back next year. Correct, John, Matt, guys.
I think he said something about wanting to come back to to go from 3-0 to 4-0 against Auburn or something.
I think. Wait a minute. I think he's 47 next year, though. I don't think he can come back. Is he eligible?
How old was Brady? George Blanda was 47 when he played for the Raiders. I remember that. He was no kidding. He was actually playing.
Actually,
yeah. George Blanda played up until he was 47, still kicking the foot. 47. That 47. Is inspiring, man.
Well, I mean, I think Vandy's playing great. We got Gary Harris trying to jump in, and then he was here. Now he's gone, so hopefully he'll come back.
He'll come back. Yeah. And we're getting Rodney Orr, Tighter and Cider on Tuesdays, man. He's kind of like Bigfoot lately, you know? It's like, there he is. No. We get some grainy film, but we got to work through that Android or whatever Samsung phone thing. But Gary Harris is the other part of Tighter and Cider. This is one of my favorite guests we have on every week. And when Gary joins us, he'll join us. But Gary is
Gary, are you with us?
Gary.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my camera to work.
That's all right. We can do it long ways. It's all right. Well, I'll put you up in a special.
No. Is it doing it now?
Now you're good now. There you go.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. It's Carl.
Welcome, Mr. Harris.
Hello. Good morning. Yeah.
Hello.
Well, first of all, I got it said camera stream not allowed, and I'm like, of course it's allowed.
I'm Gary Harris.
Well, it's kind of like when in the movie Sling Blade, when they said, Carl, you mind taking a look at this here fella's lawnmower? It ain't worked in a while, in a month of Sundays. He goes, need gas. All you got to do.
I'm going to get you some new movies for Christmas, Rob.
Nobody
can quote Sling Blade.
Rob without getting a movie reference.
Without a Sling Blade reference.
Gary, all right, preseason, I had Georgia play Alabama for the SEC championship. I had Bama winning in the regular season. I had Georgia winning, so I got to stick by it because, truth in what I say. But, boy, right now, the Georgia people are kind of like, wow, we've lost 10 of the last 11. Well, let's say Alabama has beaten Georgia 10 of the last 11. And then, I mean, that's a mental thing right now. In Atlanta Saturday, the SEC championship game. I don't know how much longer we're going to have these, but let's talk about that matchup because it's going to make a lot of money for a lot of people on a lot of TV sets.
Yeah, and that's why we're going to keep having these games, even though we don't need them. They've outlived their usefulness. But
you just answered my question.
Yeah, it's just there's too much money involved. I mean, real quick, let me tell you what I'd like to do. We got coaches and administrators. I would like to see common sense. I agree with the head coach at Texas Tech. Football should be a fall semester sport.
Yeah,
I'd love to see them play 12 games in 13 weeks, go back to one bye, do away with the conference championship games, get a 1 week break, and then go into a 16-team playoff. Play 8 games on campus. One play 16, 2, 15, 3, 14, all the way to 8, 9, and then go from 16 to 8 to 4 to 2 and wrap this thing up a little bit after the new year. That would make more sense. But we understand there's TV inventory involved, so stretching it out, it's all part of a master plan. So the conference championship games have no purpose right now, really. In fact, they hurt teams more than they help them. But they're going to play it on Saturday. I also had Alabama and Georgia in the championship game. I had Bama going 10-2, which they did. I had them losing at Georgia and losing at South Carolina. So that's preseason now. I didn't know South Carolina was absolutely awful, and they still should have beaten Alabama. So it wasn't like I was totally off. But but we got to where we're at, and you're right. I think Alabama fans more than anything are using the we own Georgia argument as to why they're going to win more than anything in X's and O's. And I think Georgia fans are afraid because all we ever do is lose against Alabama. But I think if you look at this game objectively, neither one of these are good football teams.
Yes.
Neither one of these teams are great. I don't know that there is a great team in the Southeastern Conference. I think Georgia is playing better than Alabama, but even in the last week for Georgia against Georgia Tech, they really struggled to win that game. And then Alabama's up 17-0 in the second quarter with the football. And next thing you know, it's a fourth quarter game. It's 20-20, and they've got to pull it out late against Auburn. So I don't think either team is coming in here coming off games where they played great. Alabama's injury list is very concerning. I don't know what happened to L.T. Overton. He was made available for the media. He was in media availability on Tuesday, talking about how he'd grown up going to this game, when his dad was Milton was at Alabama as a kid, and how he was looking forward to playing in it. Now he's out. He's listed as out. Kevin Riley's out. Jam Miller's questionable. So running back position, we're pretty confident that Ty Simpson's playing through some some stuff with his back, I'm hearing. So Alabama's not a healthy football team. And that's another reason not to play these stupid conference championship games anymore. You play 12 games and these teams, need a break. But outside of the recent history, I mean, I do think if you're objective, the game's in Atlanta. Even though Alabama will have its fans there, that's still – Georgia just played there last week. It's like a home game for Georgia. Alabama beat them the first time, but could have easily lost the game. I mean, I'm picking Georgia, but I picked Georgia last time. So Alabama fans that get on me, I'm like, this may be a good sign for you. But I just think if you look at it objectively, as good as Georgia has been, as strong as that program is, it makes no sense that even a team as good as Alabama's been could have this type of dominance. I mean, nobody else can beat Kirby Smart, guys, for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, he owns the SEC, except for the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
So I think Georgia's going to win the football game.
Yeah, and the thing is, there will also still be people out in front of Mercedes-Benz Stadium trying to sell paper tickets, and there'll be people that'll buy them. I mean, it's a weird atmosphere. Alabama, you go to Atlanta. Obviously, you got Georgia Tech there on the flats. Georgia, Auburn, Alabama. They think that's their home stadium. Alabama will have every bit as many people because in the past, when Georgia locked up the SEC divisional play, they could do it in mid to late October. They got 80% of the tickets if you were playing them. And now it's a different deal. But Gary, here it is. Can you believe this? Alabama doesn't have an all-SEC Heisman caliber running back. Okay, this is the world we live in. All right, question for Gary. Alabama loses close. This is from James Flash Ludeman. This is a good dude. He knows you from Tuscaloosa. Yeah,
I know.
I really like James. And Alabama loses close.
The answer is no. If they lose close, they're not out of the playoff. Right. Unless they get blown out, they're not out of the playoff. I mean, I think the SEC and Greg Sankey understand the ramifications that if you are 7-1 in this league, the number one seed. Now, again, I know there are 4 teams that are 7-1, but Alabama is the number one seed going into this game. They'll be in the red jerseys. And you lose this game and you're left out of the playoff, that's going to be a problem. Yeah. So by moving Alabama up ahead of Notre Dame, the committee has put this in position that if Alabama loses, they're still in the playoffs. So I don't see Alabama falling out of the playoff anything short of maybe getting just absolutely run out of Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Matt?
Yeah, Gary, I agree with everything you're saying. I also was curious your thoughts, Gary. I was watching that game in the fourth quarter, and as a ball coach myself, I got to tell you, 4th and goal at the 3, whatever it was, 2020, I may have taken the 3 points.
I'd have kicked it.
Yeah,
4th and 2 at the 6. Yeah,
right. And at the end of the day, it worked out well. But I'm watching that game, and we just had a Heisman Trophy, call or a conversation, and I think Ty Simpson's been just wonderful for you guys. I mean, I think he is the epitome of a leader. He makes big plays. He makes big throws. There have been other 4th down conversions that he has converted. I go back to the Missouri game that he has converted for the Crimson Tide this year. He's just been huge. And I was curious about your thoughts on that. And John, one other question. I'm kind of going back and forth here, but I know you've been in a lot of searches as an athletic director. I've been in a few. What in the earth is going on at Penn State? And has Jimmy Sexton blocked all this because he's mad that he fired Franklin in the middle of the year? That's my question. You go ahead, Gary. You go first.
All right. What was I was
4th and goal, that decision. I just thought it was really curious.
Let me go back to that too, because there's a couple things that I think Ryan Grubb's done a nice job, but I've said this on the air, so I don't mind saying it. They come out, scripted. It's good. You get into the game, and it's almost like he just can't help himself. I mean, I'll give you an example. When we talked about being 17-0, Alabama's got the ball out over the 40-yard line, and they run that double reverse pass. Yeah. That turns out to be a big loss. And they wind up punting the football. The guy shanks the punt. Dowd shanks the punt. Auburn gets its first points of the game on a field goal. Here's the deal. They were running the ball better than they've probably run it all year. 2nd and 2, 2nd and 3, run the ball occasionally. Right. Here's where I'm going with this. On the goal line, you've got 3rd and 2 at the 6-yard line. Obviously, you've already made a decision you're going to go for it on 4th. Right. That's not just something you just say all of a sudden, let's go for it. So you've already said, if we don't make it here, we're going for it. And they threw the football.
Yeah. I know.
Why not run the football on 3rd and 2, and you might make it? Or I don't get if you're going to go for it on 4th. Now, you guys are right. I'd have kicked the field goal, and it would have. That's why I'm not a coach, because in Auburn would have been field goal range. They probably would have played differently. They might have not fumbled the ball. We'd have had overtime. But going for it was a gutsy call. I give them a lot of credit for that on 4th down. But on 3rd down call, I don't get it. I don't understand if you're going to go for it on 4th down, why you wouldn't run the ball. But very rarely do they lean on the running game. And as Rob said now, Jam Miller's questionable. He was on crutches when they got back to Tuscaloosa in a boot on early Sunday morning. Kevin Riley is out. So you've got Daniel Hill, A.K. Deere, the freshman, and Dre Washington, although they don't play more than 2 running backs. So, but that's a major concern. And I'll let John get to the Penn State deal, because obviously there's some shenanigans going on there somewhere.
Absolutely.
Hey, Matt, so I've got to ask if you were intentional in stacking the question to Gary and the one to me back to back, because, hey, there's people who say, hey, Kalen was rolling the dice there, and if it didn't work out,
I'm going to Penn State, right?
Game, then he's going to State.
Hey, listen, I think there's some discussions that were going on, and since John brought that up real quick, Rob and Matt and John, let me say this: I live here, I cover this team, I'm in the media. Had Alabama lost that game, the environment in this town, it would. I'm not sure that he wouldn't have taken the job. I mean, I'm just telling you, it was for that game. I know he's coaching a national championship game. I understand that. To me, that's the biggest win of Kalen DeBoer's career.
Yes,
because of what the circumstances and the consequences would have been if he'd have lost that game.
So you're saying Auburn and Alabama is still a rivalry?
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are people, honestly, that are saying you go to Alabama to win national championships, you play at Auburn to beat Alabama. And it's for Auburn people, 6 straight losses. This goes back to Tuberville. Now you got one for the thumb. That one, Alabama, the way they played, Isaiah Horton, one of our interns, Oakley McFerrin, played against him at NBA when he was in Oakland or Riverdale in Murfreesboro. He told me about him this summer. He said, hey, a friend of mine's transferring from Miami to Alabama. And Isaiah, 3 touchdowns. I mean, so question is, and I was drinking a milk carton this morning, and on the side of it, I saw Ryan Williams' picture.
I don't know what's going on there. My guess is that he has not performed in practice the way that, and that's just my guess is usually what happens in practice, what you see in the game is results of that. And he has had some, he's been dinged up a little bit too, but I can't really answer that other than, they didn't look like he was a focal part of the offense at all. And so maybe that changes on Saturday, but I don't know what's going on with Ryan Williams. We got to get back to John about this.
I want to hear from John for a second.
Listen, had Alabama lost that game, Kalen DeBoer be the coach at Penn State? I'm not saying that at all. Let's be clear. I don't know that.
Hey, I can say that. You live there.
but I do think that they're, you know how it works. I mean, Will Stein at Kentucky. Listen, I'm sure he's a good football coach. He did a great job at Oregon. 6 years ago, in December of 2019, he was an assistant coach at a high school in Texas. That was a big high school, but still. I call him a kid because I'm 60-something years old.
Yeah.
Now, 6 years later, he's the head coach at Kentucky. That's where we're at on these coaching searches.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about before. There's more good jobs than there are really qualified candidates to fill them.
Yeah.
35 years old. He's a head SEC head coach now. Oh, and by the way, 13 years ago, he was the quarterback at the chief in-state rival of the Kentucky Wildcats. I mean, I know his dad played at Kentucky, but that's a pretty wild story. But back to Penn State, at some point, one where they go, I heard Willie. It'll be interesting to see where they go. Sorry about that. But at some point, know how these things work. They may go back to a couple of the original targets, may go back, make a phone call to Tuscaloosa and say, hey, if we sweeten it by $2, $3, $4 million, will you reconsider? So that's going to be an interesting dynamic there. But they are, especially now, man, this is terrible to say, but I'll go ahead and say it anyway. especially now that UAB is off the clock, because I think UAB offered theirs to a bunch of people too, and with that, and they end up with the guy from Presbyterian College, so which has done an amazing turnaround job. I shouldn't knock that, but the twists and turns of some of these searches, and you don't know all the details unless you've been behind the scenes. But yeah, you would think with Penn State, with being the first to make a move and maybe the last of the big ones to hire, something is strange. Hey, Gary, I do want to make one more point of something that you talked about, and this is one of the things we're wrestling with right now in NIL, because supposedly NIL can't be incentive. Your contracts for NIL can't be incentive based, but there's gonna have to be some type of adjustment. This goes back to the conference championship games and to bowl games to say, hey, here are kids being required to play, a conference championship game. And then if you play in a conference championship game, if you aren't a top 4 seed, then you're actually going to play 4 postseason games. Is there not the ability of those kids to get something extra that somebody at Florida State, it doesn't have the opportunity to get, because there's no postseason for those guys? No. And that's something that's going to have to be addressed, because you made a great point. These championship games are generating significant additional dollars for the conferences and the institutions involved.
Yeah, it's a mess. And I heard that, John and Gary, from a coach the other day. 2 different coaches had called my coach friend, Anonymous Joe, and they said it's a problem of guys potentially sitting out. And before we go to the next question for Gary, I cannot let this pass. It is the birthday of one of my favorite people on earth, the Eggman on Crowley's Ridge, Arkansas, Dean Nelson. Man, I love this guy. I got 7 dozen farm fresh eggs the other day. And I will say, one time this summer, I left some in the truck for a few days, and Audrey was putting eggs on, and one of them had developed a form in there. Don't leave them in the truck. But happy birthday, Eggman. We love you. Gary, living in Tuscaloosa, you know what it's like, the intensity and the pressure. Year 2 under Kalen DeBoer. Does he love recruiting the state, or is he still the Alabama brand is national, the SEC is national, but kind of you've had a chance to sit down and talk with him. I mean, whatever access, the local guys just always know better. If you want to know where the best restaurants to go in New York, ask somebody from Brooklyn, with Joey Bagadona. He'll know where all the great restaurants are. Tell us what you're seeing in Alabama.
I think that this year there was more incentive to. I think when they got here, they were going to lean on the relationships they had on the West Coast, different areas of the country. I think this year there has been now listen, they want to get the best players. That's I think Saban has kind of set that standard for all the schools around the country. Yeah, you recruit regionally, but if you can expand your reach to get a better player, you're going to do it. But I think this recruiting class in state, you got Cedarian Morgan, the wide receiver from Benjamin Russell in Alex City. You got Crowell, the outstanding running back. I think there was a concerted effort to say, hey, we're going to recruit the state a little more diligently this year, and they've gotten the results. So I think there'll always be a blend. I think Alabama is a national brand, and Courtney Morgan, with his ties to other parts of the country, they're going to continue to recruit the West Coast and Midwest and so forth and so on. But I think they understand ultimately, you want to butter your bread in Alabama as often as you can. Getting back to what we're talking about with what John was talking about with incentives to play and extra money. Here's the thing that and we got Matt's coach and John's an administrator, and the thing that I keep, and I've been on this show for 2 years coming on and saying, everybody's saying, well, somebody needs to do something. I'm like, who is they and what are they going to do? It just appears to me that it continues to roll along, because at the end of the day, the entertainment's there, the games are there, the results are there, and I heard a lot of talk about coaches. Coaches need to step up, but I would argue that this is one big money grab. And why would the coaches want to change anything? I mean, we got assistant coaches that are making 7 figures. We got head coaches that are making generational money. I mean, coaches they can do what Lane Kiffin did. They can leave whenever they want. They can take new jobs. Players there's no rules. So the people that are involved, as long as the money is still coming and then the conferences are still getting their money. TV revenue is there. TV is making money because the games are so entertaining. As long as until it blows up. And what do I mean by blows up? Maybe if Kiffin had taken the entire coaching staff with him, and then maybe if players said we're opting out because we want to go in the portal, because and you lose 30-something players and it changes the dynamic of a playoff quality team. I don't see anything changing. It just appears as long as it'll roll. It's like we see these people. We think they're, oh, what a great marriage they have, and behind closed doors they're sleeping in separate bedrooms. But they go along with it because it's easier to do that. That's kind of what I see with college athletics right now. Nobody wants to rock the boat because right now it's working for everybody until it's not going to be working for everybody.
Great take on that, Matt.
Is John trying to speak but muted?
Yeah, John's muted.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead, John. Go ahead.
That was probably intentional.
Come on, Stretch.
Hey, I hate to borrow somebody else's thunder, but right to what Gary's saying. Here's what Ross Dellinger said last night when it was obvious that the SCORE Act was not going to go to vote in the House.
Right.
His synopsis of college sports. After 6 years and millions of dollars in lobbying, the bill is 0 for 2, getting traction. Schools refused to sign the CSC enforcement document, $228 million to buy out coaches in this cycle, ADs guaranteeing $10 million plus and above the cap roster cash, signing day, hiring cycle, pre-portaling, and playoffs all overlap, and a coach left a CFP team. I mean, that's all. And the caption in his tweet had a glass of whiskey at the bottom of it. I mean, Gary's spot on. Somebody has got to step, well, not somebody. In collective, somebody's got to step up. And this is exactly why Chris Kleiman retired yesterday at Kansas State. He said, hey, this can't go on. And but
I think you're seeing more coaches do that too, John. Guys that are veteran coaches that have, a life that they can move on to are just going to say it's not worth it to me anymore.
Yeah.
But the young coaches are like they're a product of it. I think they're like, hey man, this is the way it works. We'll deal with it.
Yeah, and it is exactly where we're going. You're going to see more and more. You're going to start having 28 and 32-year-old head football coaches in the SEC. That's coming because who wants to put up with this crap? And by the way, National Signing Day yesterday. God, man, I would give anything to see some guy get out there with 5 different hats and make a big deal at his high school. I didn't think anybody pays attention. They're like, what the hell does the signature mean? It doesn't mean a damn thing. Guy can sign with you, and he can sign with 10 schools at the same time and go to all of them in 2 weeks.
This is how bad it is for these recruiting sites to try to keep interest because, it's like you commit. And, back in the day, it was a big deal to commit, or you might not even commit until signing day, like you said. But now you commit, and then these recruiting sites will come back out. So-and-so has shut down his recruitment, or so-and-so has confirmed that he's going to honor his commitment. You commit, but you still have to come back and reaffirm it or shut down your recruiting. A commitment doesn't mean anything. Like you said, if they sign it, if they want to get out of it, if somebody comes along after they've signed that national letter of intent, offer them more money, they can do it.
Yeah. Matt, and as a coach, now you're obviously dealing with a different student athlete. They're there to get an education first.
Yeah, but I will tell you, what's interesting about this too, we mentioned coaches, but when my son 7 years ago decided to go work at A&M in personnel and recruiting, I never thought 8 years later that he could possibly get a GM job somewhere making $600,000-700K a year. I'm like, this is incredible. It's not just the coach's salaries. It's the whole assistant coach's salaries, coordinator salaries.
All of it. Yeah.
I mean, chief of staff. It's amazing the money that's poured in. So I have a son that's a product of that. I'm like, hey, keep going, guys. Keep going.
Yeah, you're like,
hey, that's what preserved the crystal in the case there behind Matt.
That's right.
Matt's like, you know what? A few extra, dollars.
And I learned something last night. I can't disclose this, but in terms of the name, but like anytime you see a dude these days that the paperwork's not in and it's already committed, it's just they're trying to finalize the dot everything on the NIL deal, right, John? I mean, that's all they're doing. And like to John's point, at some point that will be like postseason play included in all those contracts. It's going to be off the charts. It's just
it's becoming pro sports, and I still say it's unfortunate. I got to go in a minute, but I'm going to finish with this. It is what it is. We'll adjust to it. We enjoy the games, but I don't think there's anything wrong with saying this is not what college sports is designed for.
No,
It's not designed to be played by guys that are 25, 26, 27 years old that have been in college for 8 years. I don't mind athletes benefiting financially, but there still should be some parameters. You shouldn't be in high school and sign and be a millionaire instantly, in my opinion. I just don't think that's what the design of the system is for. It's to set you up to be successful later in life, and now it's reversed. And so you get all the higher earning on this end, and it's causing a problem, and there's a backlog now with players that don't want to leave. So I'm not a fan of it, but
Gary, it's going to hurt the NFL. Eventually, kids are going to say, "I'll stay in college 5 or 6 years."
Well, you're going to have a G League players get signed. You're going to have a guy that washes out in the NFL or in the NBA that's going to say, "Hey, I've still got 2 years of college eligibility."
Exactly,
He's
just like baseball.
To a judge, and he's going to come from that sport and go back to college and make millions, and it's going to happen. It's on its way. I got to go, guys.
It's the Tommy Boy syndrome. Thank you, Gary.
Thanks.
Tommy Boy, and they're not doctors. I mean, this is we've got.
If there's a college left for them, and
exactly.
I mean, that's interesting. We started our conversation with talking about tuition, or excuse me, about enrollment. Tuition's another problem, but talking about enrollment, and then now we're here. It parallels itself for sure.
Well,
and we're seeing it. Look, something has to be done for a lot of different things. It's just interesting that this particular time in history, these two things are colliding. Well, three things: NIL, transfer portal, all that colliding with all this at the same time. It's not good for colleges.
No,
period.
It's not, and it's unsustainable. It's like 08, 09 when the bond market and the stock market crashed simultaneously. That just was a disaster, and it affected. It affected birth rates. It literally does. But I'll tell you what, free market will figure this stuff out. It'll correct it. I mean,
or it's just like Sling Blade.
Yeah, or it could be like Sling Blade. Reckon what you got. Well, and Billy Bob is pretty good in Landman too, I might add. But John,
I can't. I can do like a digital voice here. Maybe I can do. Yeah, okay.
A digital voice of Carl.
A disguise of Carl.
Yeah. By the way, Ryan Silverfield, who was on our show back in early October. It's really cool to watch Ryan Silverfield go into the student section at the Arkansas basketball game, and the students, he was up there right in the middle of them. He's only 43 or 44 years old. You're going to have guys like that get it, and Ryan could do things.
I'm pulling for Ryan.
Football. I am.
I like Ryan a lot.
I know a lot of people think it is a tough job, but I love seeing people that are told they can't do something.
He can recruit now.
Yeah, treat the word impossible as motivation. As Dudley Dawson said, he picked up 4 studs in state yesterday. Guys, we've run out of time. College Sports Solutions, one of the smartest guys in the world, John Stretch Hartwell, down in soon-to-be Fairhope, Alabama. They can find you coaches all over the country. Matt Dean, Rhodes College.
Do they really call you Stretch? Or
Yes. Hey, I went out with him to the karaoke bar.
Brendan,
he can sing,
the funny
too.
Thing. When I was a high school senior, I was 6'7", about 190, ringing wet. And my nickname was Stick. Which that?
Oh, cool. Mine was too thick. Mine was too thick. 6'4", like 100 pounds, soaking wet, starting left tackle, and opted out to go play tight end. And then you're just like, you're too skinny. You're gonna break your legs. So they called me Toothpicks.
Well, Sticks. I like that, man. Well, look,
tall guys.
We'll wrap it up now, and I'll just say both of y'all. You know what, John and Matt, listen up here. Landers Ford's open every day of the week if you need a vehicle. Ask for Brad Bellamy, the general manager. They'll ship them anywhere. They'll fit you. They'll make it easy. You get $500 off for SEC Sidelines audience members, and they're open every day of the week except Sunday. They take off on Sundays, and they're right down the street from our good friends at Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. Matt, John, Brendan, best looking boots. Barber,
I wear them every day.
Yeah, Feral Boar, Wild
I
Hog
wear my boots almost every single. That's not a lie. I wear the boots every day,
and they're
especially this time of year. They're just comfortable.
Yeah, they're very comfortable, and they've got a great.
Nothing
selection.
like a little wild boar to make your feet feel good.
That's right. Feral Sow. They're open every day of the week right now through Christmas. Sundays 1 to 5 p.m. HewlettandDunn.com. Rumble Boxing. How you fight is how you live. Get after it, folks. And look, also remember this. Hempforpros.com. You got aches and pains. You got trouble sleeping.
Remember this.
You got it. Hempforpros.com. And look, Mark Schleybaugh just texted me. He's going to be on. We got Roman Harper Friday, Mark Schlabach Friday on the show tomorrow. It's going to be a wild day.
Rob's going to be up for it.
Marty Smith's still locked in the Ole Miss football compound. Day 73. It's like a hostage
Rob,
crisis.
stop talking.
Okay, got to go.
We have to go, Rob.
Hey, most
Thank
often
so
we see
much.
the face of Christ and the least among us. Take care, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, God.
Thank
Bye,
you.
John. Bye.